Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to introduce our speaker, Dr. Ashok Rao, Associate Director, Research and Consultancy, and a Professor in the Department of Physics, Manipal Institute of Technology. Dr. finished his BSc in 1986 from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. He then completed his MSc in 1988 from Delhi University in Solid State Physics, and he completed his doctorate in 1994 from Delhi University in High Temperature Superconductivity. He started his career in the year 1997 in SMIT Sikkim. Then he became a head in the Department of Physics and he worked there till year 2007. In 2007, he joined as a professor in MIT in the Department of Physics, and he is presently working as an associate director in research and consultancy. Some of his areas of interest is high temperature superconductors, magnetic materials, and thermoelectric. His research experience, research papers in index journals is 100, number of PhD students guided is 7, number of PhD students at present is 5, number of postdoctorate student is 1, sponsored research projects is Rs 25 lakhs from BRNS completed in March 2015, Rs 23 lakhs from CSIR which is ongoing, Rs 134 lakh coordinator FIST from DST. Some of his membership in the professional bodies: he is a life member of Indian Science Congress Association, a life member of Semiconductor Society of India, he is a life member of Indian Physical Society Kolkata, and a former member of IEEE. He has a H index of 14, a total citations of 776, and total number of publications as 107. On behalf of Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, we thank him and wish him good luck for his future endeavors. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please share your screen, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Can the screen be seen?
Sorry, sir. Screen is not visible.
1 second.
Now your screen is visible, sir. Share PPT.
Yeah. Is the
Yes, sir. Now your PPT is visible. Please go ahead, sir. Please.
Okay. I am also visible.
Yes, sir. You are also visible, of course.
Okay. So I can start now?
Yes, sir. Please start, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the organizers of One Day Faculty Development Program, and in particular, I would like to thank Professor Manivanan for giving me this good opportunity to be a speaker in this FDP. Now, before I start my talk on resources for research funding, it is important that in science, engineering, and other related fields, knowledge is dynamic and it changes very rapidly. Now, what a teacher learned 25 years back becomes obsolete and a teacher has to update. For instance, in fields like computer science, electronics, and related fields, the technology changes very fast, and it so happens that the technology can change after 5 years. So it becomes utmost important for anyone to update the knowledge. Now, let me say what is the meaning of research. Research is basically the process of creating new knowledge, and if you have to create new knowledge, then you must have significant amount of background knowledge. So to know background knowledge, what we have to do is teaching, or what we do every day is nothing but what we learn in the background knowledge. But in order to understand research, we must get involved in the new findings, and hence it is extremely important for anyone to do research. Now, next question is, why do institutions of higher learning or higher education demand research from faculty? Now you see, education is no longer localized. It has in fact become all over India, and more than that, it has become global. And if you see, most of the institutes like ours and MGR Institute and so on, all are interested in talking about what is called ranking of institutions. Now, ranking of the institutions is on the basis of different ranking schemes like QS ranking, Times ranking, and so on. So, ranking becomes very important if you want to have a global recognition. Now, if you see carefully, the institutes which are extremely good as far as ranking is concerned for undergraduate education are also extremely good in highest ranking in research. So thus we can say that teaching and research go hand in hand. Now the next question is, why do we need funding? Somebody may say that, okay, you have the aptitude, you have the attitude, you can do research. But the answer is, that all those who are in science and engineering, we require huge amount of money. Now that kind of a money neither the government can give nor private management can provide that quantum of funds to undertake research in particular, or otherwise we can say extremely high-end research for faculty members is extremely difficult unless we do have some kind of funding. Now this is also the driving force behind the funding agencies, that they give funds because each university or institute cannot have that kind of funding, and hence the government has to have some kind of funding agencies. And not only government, now this concept is coming in India also, the private industries are also giving some kind of fundings. Now, if you talk about the fundings that which are there, the government of India normally funds both basic as well as applied research. Private industries in India normally support applied research beneficial for the society, and that is expected also because that is what the private industries are looking for. However, in many of the developed countries, many of the industries are also giving money for fundamental research. Now, whether they give money or not, what is very important is what is the way or what are the various funding agencies where we can look for. So, starting my talk, I would say that my talk will primarily cover grants which are either individual grants or the grants which are institutional grants. And then I will also be talking what are the various funding agencies that you can look in. For example, DST, AICTE, CSIR, DAE, INSTA, DBT, and ICSSR. Then next part of my talk would be regarding the grants that you can see for organizing seminars, conferences, or even travel grants. Now, why these grants are important is that these grants give rise to networking. And you know that networking becomes very important if you want to have collaboration within India or you are looking for collaborations out of India. Now let us come to the first area, which are the individual grants or any faculty member who can give or who can apply for these grants. So I will start with the Department of Science and Technology, and the basic aim for having the Department of Science and Technology is that primarily the audience is from science, technology and management, and I thought that I will start with the Department of Science and Technology. Now, science and technology basically gives four kind of individual R&D projects, and they are part of what is called Science and Engineering Research Board, which is called SERB. And the four primary core branches that they give is the core research grant, then there is a startup research grant for young scientists, then there is another scheme which is funding industry relevant R&D, and then there are some special schemes for which everyone may not be eligible, but there are some particular schemes which will be there. Now I will start with the core research grant scheme. Now in this talk I am going to give all the research schemes which are possible, and I am also giving the relevant websites, and this PPT will be with the organizers, and I am sure that if you request they will give you the slides and you can see what are the various websites. Now, the core research grant scheme is basically a scheme which is provided for supporting active researchers to undertake research and development in frontier areas of science and engineering. The funding is basically provided for a period of 3 years. The research grant is provided for equipments, manpower, consumables, travel, and contingency. And of course, there is something which is called overheads, which is also given to the implementing institution. And depending on the institution, sometimes these overheads can also be used for certain kind of expenditures if the institutions allow. The main thing that we should know, what are the eligibilities as far as the core research grant is concerned. The applicant must hold a regular academic research position in a recognized academic institution, or it can be even a national level laboratory, or it can be a recognized R&D institution, or it can be even a private academic institution, but of course they should be either UGC recognized or AICTE recognized. And it is important to know that the PI and the co-PI should hold PhD degree in science, mathematics or engineering. And if they are from medical side, then they can be MD, MS or dental, MDS or in veterinary science at the time when they are applying for the grant. So next I will come to what is called the startup research grant. So obviously this startup research grant is something which is applicable for comparatively fresh people, and the scheme aims to assist researchers to initiate their research career in a new institute, and it enables researchers working in fronting area of science and engineering to establish themselves and maybe to move on to the mainstream core research grant. And of course these grants cover all the usual things like equipment, manpower and so on, and the qualifications are same as I had mentioned in the earlier scheme, which is a core scheme. Then I go on to the next extremely important scheme, which is the scheme for funding industry relevant R&D. Now before I talk about this, it is extremely important that whatever research we do in applied science or engineering, the end product has to be very, very beneficial for the society. And as I told in the beginning, unless there is a product which comes out of research, the industry will not be interested in putting in any money. So the objective of this scheme is to basically utilize the expertise in academic institutions to solve industry specific problems for larger benefit of society. Now here there are two kind of partners that we will be talking about. One is the academic partner. So the academic partner should hold a regular academic or research position in an academic institution, or it can be even a national laboratory. And the industry partner can be all kind of industries, or they can be even industrial R&D centers. And it is possible that one can have more than one industry, or one can have more than an investigator as far as this project is concerned. In fact, in any applied science or engineering projects, it is extremely important that it is a teamwork, and unless we have more than one person working in this field, the project becomes very difficult. And then the important part is that the proposal should be jointly designed and implemented by both the academic partner and the industry. And of course, there should be a relevance as far as the project is concerned to the industry. It should have an innovative approach to solve the problems. It should bring in some kind of innovations, and it should aid technology transfer and commercialization. Then, of course, as I told in the earlier schemes, the overhead is given only to the academic partner, and even the support from SCRB is given only to the academic partner, and the industries are supposed to pull in money so that they get benefit from the academics. Then, as I told, there are some schemes which are special schemes, and the scheme is called empowerment and equity opportunities for excellence in science, and it is aimed to support the researchers basically belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in undertaking research areas in science and technology. Of course, they have to be in any of these categories, and of course, they should be PhD in science and engineering, or they could be from the medical field. Then extremely important is the women scientist scheme. Now, women are extremely important part of the research in any institute, and to encourage women, there is a special scheme and a special opportunities provided to women and women scientists and technologists. And many a times, some women have to take a break in their career and they want to again get into the mainstream. So there are basically three types of schemes which we have. They are the Women Scientist Scheme A, which is for research in basic and applied sciences, and then there is the Women Scientist Scheme B, which is in science and technology interventions for societal benefits, and there is yet another scheme called Women Scientist Scheme C, which is internship in individual intellectual property right for self-employment. Now coming back to an extremely important organization which controls all the engineering colleges, and I understand that many of the participants are from AICT. So AICT recognized colleges. So AICT has some schemes which are for individuals, and they are the research promotion scheme, and another important aspect in any technical education is the entrepreneurship development cell. So these are the two important schemes for which they are giving funding. The research promotion scheme is basically specific to the areas of technical education, including science, and this scheme is aimed to create research ambience in the institutions by promoting research in engineering sciences and innovations in established colleges as well as newer technologies. Now, this scheme also has a benefit that the scheme has the aim to generate masters and doctoral students to augment the quality of research. So what it means is that the AICT wants that there should be some masters or doctoral students who should be attached to this kind of a project, wherein they can work for the project, and while doing that they can also get their degree. Then there is yet another scheme by AICT which is called the Entrepreneurship Development Cell, and this is basically to create an environment for self-employment and entrepreneurship development through formal and non-formal programs, and to introduce the concept of entrepreneurship in curricular degree and so on, and to utilize the infrastructure facilities which are already available, and to train manpower for the development of non-corporate and unorganized sectors. And this also promotes a kind of employment opportunities for technical people as well as for people who are skilled. Then I will come to another important granting agency which is called the Council of Science and Industrial Research, CSIR, which provides financial assistance in the fields of science and technology. The research proposals of usually applied nature are falling into these schemes, and it is also important that if it is possible for the researcher to involve one of the CSIR labs, and if it is of multidisciplinary nature, then priority is given for these kind of projects. Then coming to another key and important area is the area of atomic energy, and the scheme which is given by Department of Atomic Energy or DAE. So Department of Atomic Energy supports research and development activities in nuclear and allied cells, engineering sciences and technology, and for this they have a nodal agency which is called the Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences, or it is abbreviated as BRNS. Now, the broad area of support include physics, chemistry, biological sciences, and almost all areas of engineering like mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electronics and communication, you name it, all the areas are needed for these kind of schemes. However, there are some conditions and restrictions as far as the atomic energy projects are concerned. I'll come to that in a moment. Now, there are basically three types of projects which are given by these, and the first one is the regular research project, The next is the Young Scientist Research Award and the DAE Scientific Research Council Award. Even this award is also a project, although it may look that it is kind of an award. The regular research project is basically for providing high quality research and development on advanced concepts which are of relevance to DAE, and the people who can apply should of course be working in universities or academic or research institutions, and of course they should have a regular position. But the projects which are provided by DAE are very specific, and the specific is basically towards the relevance to DAE. So in this regard, we should have a PI who should be from a university, and then one should also have a principal coordinator or called PC from any one of the Department of Energy institutions, and a co-investigator from the same institute where the faculty is working is also important as far as application of these projects are concerned. The next is the Young Scientist Research Award. The main objective of this research is to encourage young scientists in the initial years of setting down their career, and they are provided with necessary grants of setting up their laboratories. And this is also an extremely important grant that it is aimed at the NRI scientists, and basically it is luring them so that they come back to India and they contribute to our motherland. And this scheme is, as the name suggests, it is Young Scientist Research Award, so it is only to the scientists who are below the age of 35. And unlike the scheme that I mentioned earlier, it does not require any PC or CI as far as this grant is concerned. Then there is one more prestigious award which is basically a research grant called the DAE Scientific Research Council Award, and this award includes a grant up to 1 crore spread over a period of 5 years, which shall be used for sole purpose of pursuing research project which is submitted. And not only that, in this particular award, why it is called award is that a faculty can get up to 25,000 rupees per month as an additional amount to the salary that they are usually drawing from the employer. But of course, suppose there are some employees which are giving some performance relative incentive schemes, then both the things cannot be given. The employer has to give only one of them. Now, I'm not very sure how many of the participants are from biotechnology field, and I'm also not a very expert in the area of biotechnology, but I can tell you that there are several areas of funding given by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, and the broad areas are medical biology, agriculture, animal and allied sciences, energy, environment and biosources, and programs for societal development. Then I thought that we are having a lot of schemes for people who are from science, technology and so on. Then how about for people from social science background? So there is a specific organization called Indian Council of Social Science Research, and this gives research schemes for a lot of domains belonging to social sciences. For example, sociology and social anthropology, political science, public administration, economics, international studies, social geography, commerce, social psychology, education, and so on. So for more details, you can see the website which I have cited in the slide. Then, just to briefly tell you what are the schemes that they have basically two types of schemes. One is what is called the major project, which is up to 2 years, and the budget is about 5 to 15 lakh. And the other is what is called a minor project, and duration of this can be up to 1 year, and there is a limit as far as the project is concerned. It funds only up to 5 lakh. Then I will come to another major research organization, in fact UGC, and it is UGC which is giving salaries to most of the central and the institutes which are in different states. But here I would like to emphasize on 2 or 3 different things. First, UGC promotes teaching humanities, social science, language, literature, pure science, engineering, pharmacy, medical, agriculture, you name it, they are giving to all the fields. And the emphasis is to support such areas that cut across disciplines, and the subjects include health, environment, biotechnology, and nanotechnology. However, there is a catch in this, that the University Grants Commission provides support only to permanent faculties in the universities and colleges which are under Section 2F and 12B of UGC Act only. So that means that it would normally be given to government or state government universities. However, some of the self-financing institutions can also fulfill certain conditions, then they can get grants of this type. In fact, the permanent teachers working in self-financing institutions which are stipulated due to some kind of fitness of institution for grants rule 1975 and subject to the condition that the fees that is charged by such colleges are in accordance with the state or university fees regulations or laid down by any law as time permits. Now I will come to the last leg of the individual projects, and as I told you that Department of Atomic Energy provides funding to almost all the institutions, whereas UGC provides funding to basically the central and the state universities. However, a collaboration of the two or a combination of the two is what is called the UGC DAE Consortium for Scientific Research. Now, the purpose of this DAE Consortium for Scientific Research is that every institute cannot have high-end instruments. So, keeping this in mind, the Government of India thought about starting 3 centers to begin with, and they were in Indore, Mumbai and Kolkata. And then of late they have started a center in Kalpakkam. So the aim of this consortium is to have facilities which are general facilities which can be utilized by any university faculty. However, these fundings are limited to JRF and contingency and travel grant. But here any JRF or even the faculty can visit these consortia, and every time they provide the travel as well as accommodation. So these 3 or 4 institutes are extremely important as far as small projects in which one is interested in having a JRF and a small contingency. So in that respect, these 4 institutes are extremely important. Now I will come to the second leg, which is called the institutional or the departmental schemes, and I will start again with the Department of Science and Technology. So there are basically 4 kind of schemes which are available for funding. One is the Fund for Improvement of Science and Technology Infrastructure in Universities and other higher education institutions. It is called FIST. Then there is a very important scheme which is called Sophisticated Analytical Instrument Facility or SAFE. Now under this SAFE scheme, one can apply for projects even up to 50 to 100 crores, and one can procure high-end sophisticated analytical instruments, and the scheme of this is basically to cater to the needs of nearby institutes as well as our own institute. Then there is one more scheme which is called Promotion of University Research and Scientific Excellence, which is called the BURST scheme. And there is another scheme called Sophisticated Analytical and Technical Help Institutes called SATI, and the details are given in the website. And I would like to tell you that the SAFE and PERS can be applied anytime, but as far as the FIST is concerned, there is a specific timeline, and every year once they do that. And unfortunately, this year in first week of May, the last date is over. Then AICT also gives some amount of money for modernization and removal of some obsolete lab, which is called MODROP, and under this it equips technical institutions with laboratories and some small computing facilities which can basically enhance teaching as well as research capabilities. It supports development of lab instructional manuals also, so that the practical work which is carried by students is contemporary and suited to the needs of the industry. And this scheme is for all kind of institutions, whether they are in big cities or they are in small or rural areas. However, only for rural areas and northeastern region and Jammu and Kashmir, there is a special scheme for modernization and removal of obsolescence for rural area. So in this scheme, only institutions which are technical institutions stationed in rural areas or northeastern region, they can apply. So this finishes the funding part, and now I'll go to the end of my talk, and I will be having basically two types of things that I would like to mention. One is the grants for organizing conferences or workshops, and the other is the travel grants for presenting papers in conferences. So almost all the funding agencies give travel grants like DST, AICTE, CSIR, UGC, INSA. So the travel grants are again of different types. For example, CSIR gives full travel grants for young scientists less than 35 years of age, and those who are more than 35 years of age, they have partial travel grant. Then DBT gives travel grants for people working in biology or medical field. Then Department of Science and Technology gives grants for international travel support, and again for young people it gives 100% travel grant, and those who have more than 35 years usually they give partial travel grant. And even AICT is giving travel grants to faculty who are working in AICT recognized institutions, so they are also given travel grant in various schemes they have. But of course one should know that there is a time limit which exists for all these travel grants to apply. So typically 3 to 6 months. So that means before you intend to go for any conference, you must apply for these grants at least 3 to 6 months, so that these funding agencies will have sufficient time and they can go through the applications. So with this, I come to the end of my talk, and I would like to know about the question answer session.
Email you some questions, sir.
Yeah, I will do that. So should I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So now I will take some of the questions, because as the audience is very big, so it will not be possible to cover many questions, but I will try to cover as many questions which have been asked by the audience. So I have taken about 8 or 9 questions which I would be answering. So the first question that is commonly asked by many people is, what will be the future challenges for collaborations in research and innovation basically after COVID? Now let me tell you that this FDP which was organized is also an offshoot of one of the challenges of COVID, and this is a platform where so many thousands of people have participated and are participating, and they are listening to many talks. So I would say that this is a challenge that we have to do. Now as far as the answer to this question is that yes, the biggest challenge will be economic lockdown, which will certainly reduce government and industrial funding. But I feel that this will bring various international communities together to work, and I feel that this may give rise to the concept of sharing knowledge and facilities, which I feel would be a blessing in disguise. And I understand that due to this slowdown, the research activities may slow down, but I am extremely sure that the world will work and overcome this, and we will be back to pre-COVID area. Then there is another question that some people have asked is, how to get funding for projects from government or international agencies. Now basically this question is pertaining to international agencies. So what I would suggest is that a funding agency like Department of Science and Technology, they have a special scheme for international collaboration, and these international collaborations are usually aimed at a particular country, Say for example, it will be called Indo-US funding or Indo-UK funding or Indo-Canada funding. So time to time there would be advertisement, and you can always log on and see what kind of fundings people are asking, and one can apply. But very important thing is that you should have a collaborator as far as the other countries collaboration that you want to do. There should be a faculty known to you, and both of you will have to write the project together, and the international counterpart has to submit in their departmental science and technology or whatever they call, and the Indian counterpart should submit to the DST of India. Now there was one more question that people have asked is, again it is post COVID, so they are asking is which area or which areas are likely to get attraction more and more in innovation after COVID-19. Now, if you really see, the first very important thing is the health sector, and primarily including the pharmacy. So I would say that first thing which would be very important is testing. So testing of all these kind of pandemic that we have, so that would be one area where a lot of work people are doing, and this will be one of the challenges in the healthcare organization. Then as I told, pharma companies would be another where people will be doing lot of work, and there would be lot of money available for research and innovation. Now there is yet another thing that all of us are observing is called social distancing. Now in fact we are following the social distancing. I am sitting in Manipal and the organizers are in Madras, and the people who are participating in this are from different parts of India. Now because of this, what will happen is that not many people will go to shops or big malls to buy things. So I think one of the areas which will be a renaissance would be e-commerce. So that means that a lot of computer science and engineering or electronics and communication engineers will be required to do work on the software related things and other key areas as far as the e-commerce is concerned. And another area which I feel would be of importance will be the artificial intelligence, then virtual reality and so on, because this would also be important for say media and entertainment industry, where at least for some time we will not be able to enjoy the media. So this is one more thing that would be of interest. And the last speaker has already talked something about software to check plagiarism. So the question asked was, which is the best paid software to check plagiarism? So I would say that there are several softwares which are available, but primarily I would say the Authenticate and Turnitin are the two important softwares which are often used by the journals as well as institutions. But I would say that Turnitin is a much cheaper software, and that is how it is mainly used in educational institutions, but most of the journals use Authenticate as far as this software is concerned. Then there was a query by many of the people who are from psychology, and in fact let me tell you that honestly I am also not from psychology background, but I have gathered some information by which I can clear some of your doubts. So the question asked was, how can we collaborate psychology with departments for research, that is with other departments for research? So the answer to this is that those who are from engineering background, they know that you do study some kind of psychology, and it is called engineering psychology, or you also call it human factors engineering, and it is the science of human behavior and capability applied to the design and operations of systems and technology. As an applied area of psychology, it aims to improve the relationship between people and machines by redesigning equipments, interactions, or the environment in which they take place. Of course, medical psychology and environmental psychology are very important interdisciplinary areas where psychology people can do work. Then business psychology is yet another area where a psychology person can always interact with business community. Of course, there are a lot of discussions today regarding research and innovation, and a lot of people have covered as far as research and innovation is concerned. So what I would say is that research is nothing but giving new knowledge, and innovation is that you take this knowledge and develop a useful product. So I will say that developing a useful product would be an innovation, and giving a new knowledge would be what is called the research. Just to give you a very simple example, I would say that if you are teaching thermodynamics, it is research, and if you are developing a toaster, it is innovation. Now, there was a question which was asked that what are the different factors in identifying an industry for research collaboration. So I'll be very brief, and I will be saying that this is perhaps the last question that we will be answering. See, the first foremost important thing is that we should see the industry, what are their requirements and what are their areas in which they are doing work. That is the first aspect. The second aspect is we should know what are our key areas and what are our strengths. So once we know that these are our strengths, then we can always approach the industry and we can try to see whether we can have a collaboration with industry. Now, what is very important is that most of the time we work in the college or in our research lab and we do some experiment. When it is given to the industry, there is a discrepancy, and in about 80% of the cases there is no reproducibility. That means what I do in the lab, I am not able to get the same results in industry. So what I would say is that to begin with, only you should start work or collaboration with the industry. So with this, I will end my talk, and at the end, I am really very grateful to the organization that they have given me this chance, and thank you so much.